So another day of recording a video of me building basically a SaaS or OpenClaw version of my own. So in today's video, I'm going to focus on building and improving workflows. As you can see, I've got a lot of tests. And here, I think this is a good test that is working, and it's using basically two different types of nodes where we've got skills load and skills list. So in this scenario, I'm using tool node to basically just use one of the tools that OpenDora has. And this is basically skill load tool. As you can see, all these tools over here, they pretty much overlap and are the same with any other tool that OpenDora has available for agents to use. So if I go to agents view, I can see tools. This is the groups of the tools. If I would go and see in here, basically the same list of tools over there. So what we want to do is make sure that the workflows basically can use the tools. Obviously, we want more than two different nodes. Earlier, I've added parameters. Parameters is quite important. Because it allows us to basically call the workflow with some parameters. We can run the workflow by currently going to any workflow. So we've got AI news. Actually, I'm going to do some tidying up because at the moment some of the workflows that are created here, they're pretty much created by Mind's agent. So the idea is that human can create and improve workflows, but at the same time, the agents can. And you probably want to drive most of your agentic stuff through agents, most of your builds and everything else through agents. The difference OpenDora makes versus other tools. I'm not going to name them because there's no really point. Look, all the tools, agentic tools, are amazing, and I said that in the previous videos. And they're open source, and even the closed source one, they're amazing. Now we live in a time where you can basically build anything you like yourself, and everyone's got different vision. I'm hoping some people will align with my vision and start using OpenDora. But for me, building it the way I want it is basically what I want to achieve, and hopefully what other people want in the future as well. But the point is that a lot of these tools like OpenClaw or Hermes, they are good, but they're focused on give it a task, and see what's going to happen. Where OpenDora is kind of combination of traditional system where you, like with your coding agent, I'm going to give you open code as a kind of example, because OpenDora started from open code, basically repo. So we clone or fork open code, and now basically we created that UI on top of it, so it is more interactive. You've got basically view into what everything is done, and everything is built around sessions. So the way I'm going with everything is that everything that is struct, if it's going to be either deterministic or run by agent, and by saying deterministic, I'm saying like everything that is run by code uh, is going to be tracked within the session. So even if the code is executing your workflow, you can have an agent watching it and interacting if need be. Or you can have a mixture of deterministic nodes. In our scenario, let's say we've got skill load tool, and this is a tool. I mean, if you know the parameters of the tool, you can define it yourself, like I've done here. I want my workflow to always run requirements, so I can just fix it in. Or I might want to list the skills and then look at the inputs. I might get the agent to decide basically, you know, to either populate or leave it blank, or put the agent name ID in there, whatever. So it is for them to basically get that information and put it in there. So it's given you kind of mix of options, and quite often I notice that a lot of users try to do everything with an agent. I mean, it's good and bad. I mean, I don't want to waste credit for everything, and I believe that anything that we create, any schedule that we build, there's always opportunity to figure out how we can automate stuff agentless and use agents where necessary. So that's where you either build something deterministically and then it executes in a row, or you can have nodes that basically you insert a prompt and that triggers the agent somewhere down the line within the conversation. So now we can mix either ask agent to basically execute this step by step. This means that we using credits, and there's always possibility that the agent will decide to skip or not to do some step and everything else. So this is not deterministic, and deterministic workflow would be mix of both, or basically putting the stages or steps or nodes within an order so that the agent will basically execute them in the right order, and forcing agent to do something like listing skills before basically making decision, which I found that, you know, sometimes even if you give a good system prompt, the agent will not decide to use a specific skill, not decide to do that. But if you kind of force it a little bit, well, then they have less choice. And even if you give them context by executing workflow, you know, with a specific nodes, that should, you know, no matter what, they've got the context, isn't it? You executed that, it is part of the conversation. So yeah, so at the moment, if I would execute that, I'm going to use the engineer agent and click run. As you can see, we have skill list only for whatever reason. Oh, what is going on? We've got some error. Ooh. So we've got error that we need to fix. I think I know where the error comes from. Basically, I ask agent to populate something, but I don't know if I believe that I'm even using that functionality for the first time. So oh no. What do you know? What do you know? I think it was something with the requirements. Fix the typo. Skill test. Okay. So I think the requirements was spelled incorrectly. What do you know? So what I'm going to do is go back to the workflow, and I'm going to go to load skill. I imagine that the load skill here was with the typo, and we have fixed that. I think it was fixed in here as well. I'm going to save it and I'm going to run it again. Quickly run. And as you can see, we've got new workflow loaded, and these two steps, they were not executed by the agent. They were basically pasted in as a part of conversation straight away because, you know, we've done them. And then we had prompt, which is basically a message. So the prompt node over there was just basically a message, and now we've got basically standard reply. So imagine how we can play with basically executing workflows and giving some context into agents. So now I've got a few ideas already on what sort of nodes we're going to have. So we want definitely two different nodes. We want a node that will be a prompt to analyze something, but at the same time I want that node to do other things as well. So first of all, I want it to have a structured output. Or we're going to start with the conditional node. So we're going to have an input and the middle, which is basically the condition split, and the output, or actually the output will be the condition split. I need to figure out how to do it really. And the way to figure it out is by using Claude, I guess. Before we do that, I'm going to quickly check AI usage and see. Okay, I've got usage there. So I got 6 minutes to restart. Oh, we better hurry. Okay. Trigger usage. We do it later. We got 6 minutes before the new quota. So I'm going to quickly ask. Right. I want you to design with me a specific node that will be conditional node, and I want to be able to, so it's not like a if statement, if this then that. It has to be more like a case statement where I can have multiple conditions. So we want the outputs basically. At the moment we will focus on the output. So basically input is everything within the conversation or everything within the chat. And then basically we have agent to decide basically the condition. So the node will have just how to structure it. We want to structure the output, and we want to say the output is whatever, string, and we can have multiple outputs, and then we want to basically get the agent to decide which direction it should go, or we want to do it as, I don't know, equal, but then we would need the input as well, and then the input the input part means that we would have to basically reference specific field within a specific node, because probably that's the only way we could go down all the way to specific value if we do in the deterministic option. I want you to figure out what would be the options and best strategy to go about it within the workflows. So basically, we've got nodes. Let's say we give it on the parameters example. We've got parameter, and the parameter, let's say, is a color. So the name of the parameter is the color, which forces agent or user at the time of running their workflow to decide a color. Then let's say we say black, and then we have another node, the one that we're creating and designing, that is basically connected now downstream to the parameter node. And the deterministic choice would be basically input reference directly to a parameter. So we would have to say the name of the node or at name of the node, whichever way we want to go with basically referencing the parameters. But so it would be whatever name we want to go with the referencing of the parameters. There will be name of the node, like a unique name, dot, or ID, which is going to be unique ID to that node, then dot, then basically the name of the parameter, and that would allow us to access directly the value. And then the condition tab within the conditional node, we could add, let's say, if color equals black, then basically output is black. And then that would then use whatever node or output something. So then node whatever. If the output is red, then another node, and then other, then another node, or loop back. So, or other condition, but most likely it would be trigger another node, and another node would have to be connected to basically the condition. I mean, again, would we need to basically connect node A, node B, node C, and that would automatically create the conditions for us? I don't know. That's a question for you to answer. Right. 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 We got opus. Right. So obviously we started countdown, so we didn't finish within the time that I wanted. Right. What do we have remaining? 70%. 31st. Right. Let's see what it will come back with. I mean, it's always a fun designing node because you don't want to have too many nodes that do a very similar thing, and then you want to be flexible enough. Thinking about it, we got this side. Let's have a look at what do we have. Okay. Okay, so we've got a lot of things in place. Option A. Each outgoing edge carries label silently deletes a case. Node owns case. Matches existing edge model. That's good. Can be touching graph. Okay. Multiple edges can share a label. Okay, what do we have? Right, so label string. Right. Right, we right, let's take that and let's give it to Claude and see what the Claude is going to say. It's not bad, is actually going to do the investigation and schema. Yes. Let's implement it. Let's see what it's going to do. I'm quite optimistic that we're going to have finally decision node. Look, I'm kind of still inclined that for the majority of questions and interactions with the agent, I'm still going to use the agent. But for the things that I run daily, the beauty about Opendora will be that you can start your run with a schedule on the agent, and then it will basically do what we do today. So if I go to Weber agent, we've got a few schedules set. Now I'm planning to change the way the schedules work. That will be later, but for now I can go to the schedule and I can see all my schedules. It's compiling. So I've got daily AI news. That's where I try to stay on top of any news that I think is something else. I mean, you can see the schedule here, the setup of the schedule. Now, if I go to Weber, which is the schedule setup for, I can see all the runs. So that's today's run. And now this run is basically not deterministic. So what it does is basically it triggers new session with, or actually, well, within that session, so Weber AI News, it basically every day triggers new delegation and delegates basically the same message that we set up in there. I mean, a lot of places do that. OpenClaw is famous for that. I mean, it was already in ChatGPT core application for a very long time. Claude is doing it and everyone else is doing it. Now, what I want to end up with is basically creating, well, this one's probably not the best example, but yeah. So basically creating a workflow out of it and asking my agent to basically look at the history of the sessions that we run for, let's say, daily AI news. And I want to say, like, listen, we go through the steps every day. If the steps are the same, if the prompts that you're making are the same, then why do we need agent to make those decisions? Why not just have a basically script that runs certain parts and then use the agent where it has to be? So I mean, this is deterministic. This is deterministic. So the agent currently decides to load this skill, and that is because we tell it specifically within here to load it. So it just listens to us and it does it. But what is the point if we can say, I know I'm going to use that skill. I'm just going to load it first. And then even better, instead of the skill, we have a workflow that each step might be deterministic. We just ask the agent to decide like which kind of news is actually of value. Well, I got Andrew Karpathy joining Anthropic. See, that's old news. XAI launches Grok built coding agent. That's interesting. Anthropic Mythos model appeared in public cloud code references May 25. Well, that's interesting as well. Like, yeah, let's not look at the thing anyway. But my point is, like, if we can save credit, and a lot of it probably doesn't need agents to make decisions on how to call the tools and everything else, like, we can call the tools ourselves. We can run it through loops. We can do whatever. The agent doesn't need to be involved in each step. And then we can save some money. So the idea is, start with basically creating normal schedule, get some data, i.e. sessions, to basically give AI later to like figure out like what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then why we shouldn't just basically automate it. Anyway, okay, so what do we have? All errors in the workflow packages are pre-existing. What are one? What are these errors? I'm just going to try to make it a little bit bigger. So I think the implementation is done. The only thing is that it highlighted some errors. What are these errors and how to make sure it's not some legacy code. Right, so let plot code basically carry on. We've got some session error in here. Right, let's close. So yeah, we've got notifications about things happening. We've got load test. That's interesting. So, did you say you implemented everything? Because I cannot see the new node inside my workflows. So I go to the workflows, I open the canvas of load skill workflow, and I cannot see the implemented node. So I can't see the node that I can drag and drop to the canvas. Right, I am going to fix some other stuff at the same time. For that, I am going to use basically the SWE 1.6 model, which I find actually it's free model, but it's quite nice. Okay, so I want you to fix the drag and drop of the nodes from the side menu on the workflow into the canvas. So basically, when I drag and drop the node, it appears shifted to the left. So basically, it is not kind of in the right place, if that makes sense. It should be dropped exactly when I drop it on the canvas. Can you fix it? Let's do this and let's go back to Claude Code. All right, so okay, nice. That was easy fix. Fine, I'm going to leave it as it is. I was about to complain a little bit that, oh, it's kind of dragging it a little bit off. But I can tolerate it. It's a lot better than it was. Also, the settings workflows, the cards don't look the same as other pages. So we want to make sure that they look the same in terms of size, layout, and looks as skills. Yeah, we want to make sure they look like that. Let's see the workflows. Right. So let's wait for that to be fixed. And let's see if we're going to add if it's going to add our node. Okay, let's look at Cascade. Let's go back to our workflows. And yes, that looks a lot better. They still don't look the same. And we, yeah, they kind of don't look the same. Can you make sure they look exactly the same in terms of looks and everything else? So they need to look and behave the same as the skills nodes. Right, so that's better. It is cleaner. We got settings, we go to skills. workflows. What else do we need? Workflows, providers. How do the providers look? I think we've sorted out providers the other time in the previous video. Yes, they still don't look amazing, but fine. Schedule. Okay, so this is weird. All right, let's go to test. Okay, let's quickly function, give it a picture so it understands. Right, so yeah, we need like a end-to-end implementation. So have a look at the current nodes, how they implement it. So tools, prompt, and parameters. And by the way, that's the only nodes that we should have, plus the one we implemented now. So we need full implementation, not just the backend. So let's see what we're going to do. Right, let's go back to Opendora and let's go to settings. We use a general agents. Agents should be fine, they are done well. Sessions. Okay, sessions is a table, which is fine. We need some filtering probably with sessions, providers, tools. Tools needs basically I want you to figure out, let's look at the tools. I want you to figure out how we can look at the folder structure for the tools, the settings tool page, the agents settings agents tools tab, and basically figure out how we can standardize the groups. So if I go to the dashboard I want to see all the tools in the groups. So I want to be able to go to dashboard, settings, tools, select the group, and the group is displayed same as skills or same as skills card. So I select the group, and within that I have basically more tools to see the tools as cards as well. Basically, layouts and everything else is the same. The breadcrumb works fine. The standard is basically across application, backend, and everything else. So we're representing everything same as we do have the folders. So that propagates throughout. We need to figure out how to standardize everything from the backend, the groups within the backend, all the way to the front end. We keep everything in one place. Groups are living in one place. They are basically through API, the data comes in with the groups and everything else from the backend. And then we rebuilding that in each view exactly the same. So regardless where I'm in, I want to see the same cards for groups, the same cards for the tools, and we want to use the same standard as we already have with the skills. So yeah, see what we would need to take, what steps we would need to take to implement it. The first phase for you to report on is basically collecting all the files in both backend and front end that we need to touch to edit and touch, edit, or adjust to basically achieve those goals. So your first task is summarize this as a prompt. Second task is do the exploration and tell me what we need to do. So that's it. Right, we've got Cloud Code now is still working. I am going to go back to see what Cloud Code has done or is doing. Yes, so we've got the side node. Let's bring the side node, and it is the side node AI. I'm actually gonna go out to workflows, and rather than using this skill, let's go to see the test. Oh, we've got skill list and then we've got prompt. So we want to do parameter. I'm going to say add color, if I can spell color. Let's make it 100% so everyone can see it on the screen. I'm just going to click here to confirm and go back. We've got color here that we want to save, and now we want to do this side node. Okay, and what do we have here? Some mode, agent LLM picks the branch. Oh, deterministic, okay. So, yeah, we do the CTX input. Right, I'm just going to be crazy and I want to be able to reference and have like autocomplete or IntelliSense or whatever it is. I can't remember the name actually. So you know when you type in and it autocompletes for you. So for the input expression, I want that to be the case. So if I have to do $, CTX color, this should basically do the auto completion for me when I type in. And heck, when I basically put in the $, it should automatically show me all the available references of the parameters and stuff. Right. Let's see. Respecting relationship edges relationships top down traversing the nodes. Okay. So now what do we have? We want to have the side node. I'm going to make it smaller. So now we have the side node and then we want to have